Hello and welcome, you guys. My name is Sonya Eckel, and I am a top leader and mentor and coach within the direct selling industry. And I just wanted to come and talk with you. Specifically, I want to talk to those of you who have taken that leap of faith and started your own direct selling business, right? And some of you might be curious, like what company I represent, and honestly, a quick Google search will probably answer that for you. But this is not about any certain company. This is about an industry that I have come to love, and an industry that has honestly blown me away. So I just wanted to talk with you guys and maybe share what you have felt. Now, some of you are just incredibly blessed, and your spouse from the get-go has been 100% supportive and there for you, and that's awesome. I just want you to go and give them a special thank you for that. But let's be honest. Okay, so I was thinking about this. There's not many families that I know that when I would have a conversation with them, that they would say, yep, nope, we don't need any more money. We are 100% good, right? Like most people who you talk to say, yeah, no, I mean, some extra cash would be really good. Or some people that you talk to are like, yeah, we need extra cash because we want to buy our own house, or we want, there's certain things that we want to send the kids to a certain school or pay for hockey or whatever, right? Let's just admit though that most families, somewhere behind closed doors, there's those conversations that are something like, things are a little tight this month. We could use a little extra, right? Maybe you're one of the exceptions. But, I know that was our reality back when I had stopped working full-time as a physical therapist and I decided to become a stay-at-home mom, right? And we did fine. I mean, we made ends meet. By all means, God has always been amazing and taken good care of us. But there was a little financial stress, right? So I was thinking about this and I thought, it's not unusual to have that conversation, and maybe it's like, hey, maybe you want to run over to the mall and throw out some applications and just grab a part-time gig to make a little bit extra cash. It'll help us out, right? And so I would say the majority of us were raised in corporate America, employee mindset, right? Where you work for somebody else. They tell you when to work. They tell you how much you're going to make, all of those things. That's a really nice model, and it's what most of us are used to. And so along you go, and maybe you went to a direct selling demo or party, and you're sitting there and you know that you've been talking with your other half, right? And you know that a little extra cash would be nice. So you're sitting there and this gal or guy says something like, hey, and I don't know if you ever thought about doing this, but it is a great way to make income. And this little light bulb goes off and you think to yourself, wow, these products are incredible. I love them. And if I could make a little extra cash, that'd be really uber cool too, right? So you go home and you tell your spouse, I think I want to do this, right? At least that's how it goes down for so many of us. And of course, your spouse wasn't at the demo. They weren't at the party. They have no idea. And they're kind of like, okay. And so often they love us, right? And they want to just make sure, we don't get scammed or don't lose our shirt with something, right? Or don't get hurt, right? And so they're that voice of reason like, I don't know, because it's not what we expect. It's not what we go looking for. You go looking for a job at the mall, right? You go put in your applications. But with direct selling, often you didn't go looking for it. It found you. And so when it found you, it was quite a gift. Let me just tell you, because it's not on most people's radar as a first go-to, most people have no idea what's possible in this industry. They have no idea. It's incredible, the income that you can make here and the flexibility. So unlike the mall job where they tell you kind of when you need to be there and it's not always great hours, you get to write your own schedule in direct selling, and that's really, really a perk. But because it's outside of our knowledge base, sometimes we, and specifically our other half, right, can feel nervous about it. Like, what does this look like? All right. So one of the first things that I found about having your spouse support you in your business is to put yourself in their shoes for a second. And that's what we've been doing, right? And recognize that this is a new reality to them, and there's a transition period, and to be good with that. When I first saw the company that I represent, honestly, Willie said, yeah, go for it. you know? And I don't think that he fully understood what those words were going to mean, but I did. I jumped in and I just shared with everything I had because I believe so much in the product line. Then pretty soon we had to have some communication and say, wow, you know, I had gone from being a stay-at-home mom, being the main caregiver for the boys, really, you know, Willie's at work all day, I'm with them all day. And we had 3 boys, and then I had my 4th after I had started. It was quite a shift, right? Like, we have to understand that our spouses often do take on more responsibility. So he was at work all day, would come home, and you know, we'd maybe grab a quick bite to eat if I had dinner ready. And then out the door I would go, and he would be home with the boys. And at that time, I mean, a toddler and a couple that weren't that much older, it was a big thing. So the first thing we need to do is just understand. And one of my mentors, I mean, I've had such amazing mentors in my life. And one shared with me as I was just going through this is find the hot spots, right? So oftentimes the business is like the smoke screen. Oh, I don't like that business because we just kind of lump everything in. But if we were to actually dig deeper, it's, I don't really like that when I show up and you're heading out the door and we barely get a air kiss in on the way, that there's no dinner on the stove, or, you know, I'm not only responsible for bedtime, but I also have to figure out something to cook, right? That's a hot spot. And the reason that comes to mind is because that was one of our hot spots. And what we learned is if I would just have something ready, it made Willie's night go so much better. So that's one of the things that I always encourage you guys to do is find that little hot spot. So another thing that I found in this business is that very often we love what we do. And so in that interim where I wasn't working as a physical therapist and I was a stay-at-home mom, I craved friend time, right? Girl time. And so fortunately, I had a circle of great friends, and they would occasionally do girls' night out. So I get a call, Sonya, are you coming to our girls' night out? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna come. But in the end, I always left just feeling kind of guilty that A, I was leaving Willie to fend for himself, and B, that I was spending money we didn't have on this little girls' night out. Now, it was necessary, right? But one thing I will tell you about direct selling is that really quickly I realized, oh my goodness, this is amazing social time with some of the most incredible people I've met in my life. Like, I meet the most amazing people when I'm out. And I actually was excited to walk out that door to the party. Unlike the mall job, right? Where you're like, oh, hon, I better get going. Yeah, I gotta go, I gotta work, right? At least there's a little remorse, right, when you leave. But with direct selling, often we really love our business. And so we're like, see ya, I'm out of here. And this is my social time. So the interesting thing about that is sometimes from our spouse's standpoint, until they actually, quote, see the money, they sort of feel like, oh yeah, this is just your little girls' night out gig or whatever. So it's important also to build your business and get intentional about where the income goes. Talk about the actual income you're making. I think that's also kind of important for the other half of the relationship, right? And so I would go out and I thought, you know what, I don't feel guilty anymore because I know I am earning a really solid income, because in our company, on average, we make about 200 a party. That's about the national average. Well, that made a huge difference in our house, right? So then that was helpful. I didn't have the guilt of leaving as much. The other thing is, of course, see how you can help your spouse, like communication. I'm just going to keep coming back to communication. Say, how can I help you? How can we make this better? It is a change. It is a transition. Now, one of the things that helped us through it is we recognized this is not working for someone else. This is not building someone else's dream. This is actually your opportunity to build your own business, to, you know, be an entrepreneur, but with a company that does all the hard work, you know? And so we realized that sometimes you got to do now what a lot of people aren't willing to do, so that later you can do the things that a lot of people aren't able to do, right? And so we were willing to sacrifice a little bit extra, knowing that there was a huge upside to doing that and investing in the business. So having your spouse on board and talking through some of those realities is really helpful. I want to talk to you too about seasons of life, because one thing that we found is in the beginning when we had a toddler, and then right on the tails of that, a newborn, and then our 2 older boys that weren't that much older, it was a lot on Willie's shoulder. But now he will tell you, like, oh my goodness, they're so much easier now. They're so independent, and it's a different game. So for those of you who are in the season of littles, I totally know where you're at. And if you can pull through it, I'm going to tell you it's worth it when you come through it. And the cool thing is they have such an incredibly incredibly close relationship with their dad because of those nights when he got to just be dad, do it his style, and they really honestly love that. Now, it doesn't matter where you're at if you're watching this, if you're retired. I mean, you still have to deal with these things because sometimes maybe your spouse and you retired and your spouse is picturing like drinking wine in the evening, watching your favorite show, and now this is an adjustment of their expectation, right? And that's okay. We have to be patient with each other as we shift through what does this new norm look like, right? Another thing that I have really found is that during this journey, there's been several times that we've had to recalibrate. So if I were to act like, we've never ever disagreed on anything and it's always just been smooth sailing, no conflict whatsoever, then I wouldn't be being honest, right? That's part of two people becoming one in vision and coming together to build the life of their dreams together, right? Because sometimes your dreams are like, here's yours, here's your spouse's, and how can you start melding those together? I believe you can, but it takes intention. So another thing that one of my mentors taught me and has been really good, and I'm still always a work in progress. I gotta tell you that this is not like you just arrive one day. It's a work in progress. It's an effort to make those choices, and I might just be a couple steps ahead of where you're at, and hopefully you can glean a little something from this. But one of my mentors said, you know what, when you own your own business, it's there all the time, 24/7, it's around you. And because most of us love our direct selling business and we enjoy doing it, we could do it 24/7, not really, but you know what I'm saying. And so she said, Sonya, you've got to shut the door and go home. And that has been huge. I think that as your business is taking off and maybe your spouse is like feeling some extra, responsibilities, and they're not sure where they're at with that, it means sometimes we need to make some changes. So we need to find systems. We need to hire help. You guys, you're a business owner. Sometimes you just need to hire some help. Changed my life when I figured that one out. But systems are also key. You've got to form systems. Anything that you do again and again, you need a system for it. And write it down, make it a checklist. Use electronic systems. There's a ton out there that you can use that are your friend in so many ways. And make sure that you're plugged in to a supporting team, a supporting mentor. You're gonna need that during the journey. You're gonna need someone who you know that you can trust, you can call them, and they're not gonna just jump in and wallow with you. They're gonna be able to help you through it. They're gonna be able to give you a hand through it and share some wisdom. So if you haven't plugged into the mentors in your life, I encourage you to do that. That will be really a huge help. So to say that direct selling has changed our life would be a huge understatement. I want you to know this industry is incredible for what it can allow you. If you have dreams and you have something you want a little more and you're not sure how to get it, this is an incredible industry. And I also want to be really honest. It's different. You're not an employee. You're not working for corporate America. It's different. And the sooner you can, work with your mentors to learn those little nuances that are going to make this journey a lot more joyful, and not only for you, but for your family and your spouse, the better. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me. And I hope that there was just a little nugget here that will be helpful in your journey. Go out there, set your systems, hire some help. Might be to do laundry, it might be help with the kids for a couple hours a day. It might be someone to come in, do supper. I mean, you name it. There's someone who actually loves doing that, right? Hire help and shut the door and go home when you're done so that you can be there for your family. Work nights are work nights, but then protect those family nights and that couple time as well, all right? Thank you guys. Have an awesome evening, and thank you for joining me. I'll look forward to connecting soon.